Deep in a forest of ancient India sat Vyas, son of the sage Parasara, the master who had arranged the Vedas themselves. His eyes were closed, but he wasn't resting. Inside him, complete from first word to last, lived a story vaster than any ever told. It only remained to be written. But how does one man give such a story to the world? No scribe alive could keep pace with his mind. Vyas sat with the question until only one answer remained. He stilled his breath and turned his thoughts to Brahma, the creator himself. Light gathered in the clearing, and Brahma stood before him. Vyas bowed, palms joined, and laid out his trouble plainly. A great work was ready within him. Yet nowhere, in the three worlds, had he found a hand swift enough to take it down. Brahma smiled at the sage's ambition and gave him a single name, Ganpati. Ask the remover of obstacles to sit beside you, he said, for only that hand can match your voice. Then the creator was gone, and the forest was just a forest again. So Vyas meditated once more, and this time he called on Ganpati. The air grew warm and golden, and the elephant-headed god appeared before him, broad as a hill, patient as one, his wise eyes already curious about what the sage would ask. Vyas welcomed him with every honor and made his request. I will speak the Mahabharata aloud, beginning to end. Write it down for me. Ganpati regarded the sage for a long moment. He was a god of wisdom. He knew the size of what was being asked. Ganpati agreed, on one condition. Once my stylus touches the page, he said, it does not wait. Dictate without a single pause, or I set the work down and leave it unfinished. It was a challenge worthy of a god, offered with a perfectly innocent smile. Vyas bowed and set a condition of his own. Then write nothing, he said, until you have fully understood it. Ganpati laughed and accepted. Two of the sharpest minds in creation had just agreed to a contest disguised as a partnership, and both knew it, and so it went. Vyas sang the epic in a steady river of verse, and whenever he needed to think ahead, he would coil a stanza so dense with meaning that even Ganpati had to pause and untangle it. In those stolen moments, the sage composed on. Verse by verse, the Mahabharata was written. In that age, there were no printed books. A story survived only if living minds carried it, the way rivers carry water. So Vyas taught the whole epic first to his son, the young sage Suka, the first keeper of the tale after the god who wrote it. Then came the disciples, earnest men who sat in a circle around Vyas and learned the epic word by word, holding it in memory the way others hold treasure. Each one who mastered it became a doorway through which the story could walk out into the world, and walk it did. Far beyond the world of men, Narda carried the tale to the gods in their bright halls. Suka told it among Gandharvas and Yakshas, and even the Rakshasas leaned in to listen. Every order of being, it seemed, wanted this story. For humanity, the door was Vasampena, chief among Vyasa's disciples. When King Janmejaya, son of the great Parikshit, held his royal sacrifice, he asked to hear the whole history of his ancestors. By the light of the sacred fires, Vasampena recited it all. Years later, in the forest of Namisa, the sages of Rishi Sonka's hermitage looked up from their rites. A traveler had arrived, Suta, a storyteller by calling, dust of a long road still on him. Word moved quickly through the trees. He carries the great epic. Suta told them how he came by it. He had sat at Janmejaya's sacrifice and heard Vasampena himself. He had wandered the holy places. He had even stood on the very field where the Great War was fought. Now he said, "Let me tell it to you." The sages drew close. And this, in its shortest telling, is the shape of what Suta unfolded. Long ago in Hastinpura reigned King Shantanu, and from him flowed a royal line like a great river, destined to split into two streams that would one day collide. After Shantanu came Chitrangada, and after him Vichitravirya, whose line gave the dynasty to Princess. Dhritarashtra, the elder, was born blind, so the crown passed to his younger brother Pandu. From these two brothers would come the 100 Kauravas and the 5 Pandavas. A wrong committed on a hunt drove King Pandu from his throne into the forest, his wives Kunti and Madri at his side. There, amid years of penance, 5 sons were born to them, and their Pandu died, leaving 5 fatherless boys whom the forest sages raised as their own. When Yudhishthir, the eldest, turned 16, the sages led the 5 brothers home to Hastinpura and placed them in the care of the grandsire Bhishma. The Pandavas grew brilliant in scripture, in arms, in everything, and their cousins, the Kauravas, watched with a jealousy that elders could calm but never cure. In the end, the family was divided in peace. Hastinpura for the Kauravas, Indraprastha for the Pandavas. Then came a game of dice. Shakuni, playing for the Kauravas, stripped Yudhishthir of everything, and the 5 brothers walked into exile with their queen Draupadi, 12 years in the forest, a 13th in disguise. When they returned, Duryodhan refused them even their own kingdom. So it came to war, and from that terrible war, the Pandavas rose victorious. For 36 years, the Pandavas ruled justly. Then they crowned their grandson Parikshit, put off their silks for barcloth, and walked with Draupadi toward the high mountains, leaving the world as quietly as legends do. That is the river of this story. And hidden in it, like gems in deep water, are 100 smaller tales. It begins where we go next, by the Ganga, with King Shantanu.